Okay, so let's dive into what truly makes our relationships work. In this explainer, we're going to get past all the usual advice and uncover a much more powerful way of thinking about connection. But first, let's just get real for a second. You ever feel this? You've got hundreds, maybe thousands of friends online, your phone is constantly buzzing, but deep down, you still feel kind of lonely. It's a really strange and very modern problem. Well, there's actually a name for that feeling. The sources we looked at call it the connection paradox. It's this idea that we've become experts at being close to people through technology, but we're also starving for actual, genuine intimacy. We've perfected the image of connection, but maybe we've neglected the real architecture of it. So when we feel that disconnect, what do? Well, for most of us, we turn to a familiar set of rules. You can think of it like a relationship checklist. It's all the advice we've heard 1,000 times. And look, these things on the list, open communication, build trust, show mutual respect, they're all absolutely crucial. No one is debating that, for sure. These are the pillars of any healthy connection. So that brings us to the big question, right? If we all know these are the rules of the game, why does so many of our relationships still feel, well, fragile? It turns out the problem isn't the list itself. It's the way we're thinking about the list. And this right here is the core idea. We need to shift from what you could call a checklist mindset to an architecture mindset. See, the checklist asks, is this working? It's transactional, like a goal you need to achieve. But the architecture mindset asks a totally different question. How does this feel? It's not a static goal, it's a living, evolving space that you inhabit together. So let's really dig into this new way of thinking. What does it actually mean to treat a relationship like a living architecture? The idea is to stop seeing a relationship as a finished product and start seeing it as a dynamic, evolving, emotional space that two people create together. It's like an emotional scaffolding that supports both of you. It's not something you build once and then you're done. It's more like a garden you have to tend to constantly. This quote really just hits the nail on the head. It's not about checking boxes to decide if a relationship is good. It's about cultivating an atmosphere, an environment where both people feel seen, supported, and free to be themselves. It's really about the quality of the air in the room. Okay, so this all sounds great, but how do we actually build this space? Well, it rests on a few key pillars, and the first one might actually be a little surprising. It's called radical authenticity. And this isn't just about being honest. It's about being strategically vulnerable. It's the practice of sharing your internal landscape. And yeah, that includes the imperfections, the fears, all the messy parts you'd rather hide. Now, I know that might sound completely counterintuitive, scary even, but vulnerability is described as a true power move. Why? Because when you share an imperfection, you're not showing weakness. You're signaling safety. You're essentially telling the other person, it's okay to be human here. And that is the fastest way to build real trust. Because let's be real, trust isn't built in one big, dramatic gesture. It's more like compound interest. It's the slow, steady accumulation of hundreds of small, consistent, sincere moments that really add up over time. All right, pillar number 2. This one is all about what to do when things get tough, because conflict is going to happen. The key is something called the curiosity shift. And honestly, it's a total game changer for how you handle arguments. So check this out. The typical blame statement is something like, you always ignore me. You can just feel the other person's walls go up, right? But with the curiosity shift, you reframe it. You say, I feel invisible when we don't check in. See the difference? One is an attack that triggers defense. The other is an invitation for them to understand your experience. It changes everything. And this is so important. The goal isn't a relationship with zero conflict. That's not realistic. The goal is to build a space that is so fundamentally safe that you can have disagreements without it tearing down the whole structure. And finally, let's talk about the power of small things. Seriously, think about it. Just one single small act of gratitude, it might seem minor, but its effect is huge. Because that one small act and all the others like it, they don't just disappear. They build up over time, and they add to something really important. They add to your reservoir of goodwill. I love that term. Think of it as an emotional savings account for your relationship. Every small act of kindness is a deposit. All that stored warmth and trust, that becomes the asset you draw upon during a crisis. It's what gets you through the hard times. So when you put all of this together, Radical authenticity, the curiosity shift, building that reservoir of goodwill, it completely changes how we see our relationships. Ultimately, it's a shift from just consuming a relationship to actively cultivating it. We're not just trying to maintain something or keep it from breaking down. We are co-authoring a narrative together. You are literally writing a story with this person every single day, which is why the most meaningful relationships are never really finished. They aren't a trophy you win and put on a shelf. They're a living system, constantly changing, constantly evolving, in a state of constant becoming. So I'll leave you with a final thought to take with you. Think about the most important shared space in your life. Which one of these principles, radical authenticity, the curiosity shift, or just making a small deposit in that goodwill reservoir, which one, if you applied it today, would most shift the air in that room?